This
So,
conference
uh,
will now be recorded.
so I carry about 20 plus years of experience in totally in SAP, and almost about 12 years in the transportation management area, in a various capacity on an LSP scenario and also in a shipper scenario. So if everything goes well, I would be your trainer for this session, which we are trying to focus now. And if you look at it, what we are going to see is on the complete end-to-end solution of transportation management. We will be walking through the PPT of what is that in the transportation management. Number one, number two, whichever the scenarios we can able to model it for our sessions, we will be doing it. And primarily, whatever we are trying to focus on the PowerPoint, we will be showcasing on the end-to-end scenario. And probably if you have any questions during my just kind of a walkthrough here today, you can stop me and you can ask me, and I'll be more happy to help you. All right, so with this, let me present it here. So okay, so if you look at it, I'm putting on a bigger screen now. So on this particular on the demo, what we're going to look at it here is primarily on the transportation management. In this transportation management, what we are going to look at is what is that we are going to cover on the day one. If you look at it, the overall transportation management process compromises the whole information which you're seeing it on the front screen. If you look at it, on the let me try to take the slide here of the pen. Okay, here is the laser pointer. If you look at it, the order management, the order management, planning, execution, and subcontracting, charges and settlement is the main four modules or four process areas in which we will be working on the transportation. If you ask me what is that we are going to work on it, we will be working on this order management, planning, execution, and subcontracting, charges and settlement. With this, the whole TM will be covered. On the other side of that, we will be going in detail. On your right hand side, you will be seeing that how we are going to integrate with our order management, and then how the delivery is going to be integrated to TM, and then
One
how
thing.
this.
Sorry to
Sorry.
interrupt you. We can see only day one slide on the
So is it?
That's it.
Oh,
Nothing
is it?
else.
No,
Yeah.
I'm surprised. 1 minute. Let me do this. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Now you should be seeing. Is it the view
Yeah.
visible now?
Yes. Now it's fine. Yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. Maybe I'm using a two screen, so that's the reason. Sorry about that. Now, if you look at it, the order management, and when we look into the order management, planning, execution, and subcontracting, charges and settlement. These are the four areas which I was just talking about. And on the right hand side, if you look at it, we have the sales order and the purchase order and the delivery documents. The one which is being marked in a kind of a how do you call it? It's an yellow color is nothing but an ERP document. Even though we call them as an ERP document, it is not an ERP document because it's going to sit in your S4HANA box. But we, instead of saying S4HANA to make you more confused, people who are coming from an SAP background will know more about an ERP. So that's the reason we are marked as an ERP here. And then how these information, these requirements of orders are getting converted into your transportation requirements. That is where we will be talking about primarily on it, how we need to do it. And then from the transportation requirements perspective, how it is getting converted into the transportation requirements and how TM is handling them. So we are going to talk about that in this particular topic. I don't know why it is two things is coming in. Okay, it's only one should come. Primarily, there's some bug. Okay, I think let me do this. It's okay. Sorry about that. I think we have to go with this. No problem. And then what we'll do is, and then after coming into it, we have something called a freight order and the freight booking. Again, these are the new terms which you need to digest it when you get into the transportation management, where the real requirement is converted into an execution document. This is a kind of an execution document. We call them as If you want to ask me how this document can be compared, it can be compared as how the sales order document looks like, how the purchase order document looks like. The similar way, you will be seeing the transportation order that will be looked into kind of an execution document. And
What
then,
is subcontracting here?
yeah, that's where I'm coming into it, because I thought of coming in here, but since you asked me,
Mm.
subcontracting is, say, for example, like say, Karthi is a kind of like a shipper or an LSP provider who wants to use some kind of a company to do the services. Like say, for example, Namakal transport or any kind of a transports who can able to execute the transportation. So they will be called as a carriers or vendors
Yeah,
for us in this case,
you
right?
mean to say vendor executes or delivers
Correct,
this goods on
correct,
behalf of you,
correct,
for example. So you call him a
correct,
subcontractor. Normally we call him as a
correct.
carrier. So okay, that's the same thing.
Correct. Whereas the reason why we are using a subcontracting as a separate process here is most of the time, shippers might have their own vehicles within themselves. In case
Mm.
if they do not have their own vehicles, what should we do in order to do the subcontracting? And 85% or 80% of the business currently are using the subcontracting, because
Okay.
when you say subcontracting, you should not confine ourselves within that road transport. We have our ocean transport, we have air transport, we have rail transport. So many of them cannot own all these three, right? So obviously you have to depend on your carriers. So
Okay.
you might need to go for a subcontracting. Subject, you may have a own vehicles, which is nothing but your trucks and trailers. All right.
Yeah.
Now, on the charges and settlements, if you look at it, these are all nothing but your contracts. Like, say kind of, for example, as we said, right, when we have a carrier, we will be executing some kind of a legal contract saying that if you transport from one place to the other place or source location to the destination location, what I need to have, I need to have, I will be paying you X amount of money for per kilometer. So all these things will be defined in the charges and settlement, and from here we will be finding it out how it can happen. And in order to settle this particular information, what we will be doing is we will be creating a settlement document here, which is a predecessor, or how do I call it, as a kind of a predecessor document before you run your mirror document. So only having this freight settlement document, you can able to have your mirror document run, where this freight settlement document would create you a service entry sheet and a service PO. That would be your successor document of your freight settlement document. Using that particular successor document of SCS and your service PO, you can able to run your mirror document, which will be creating an accounting document within an ERP site. Even though
Yeah.
we term, just a disclaimer, we call this an ERP, it is not an ERP. It is within S4HANA. This is for our understanding sake, we are putting as an ERP. All right.
Okay.
Any questions? All
No.
right. So now what we are going to do, we will be talking about various processes of embedded S4HANA. The one which we are going to work on our 2021 S4HANA FP02 is an embedded S4HANA TM. That means all the things will be sitting in one box, which is called an S4HANA box. And all the information, what you're going to see it, like wherever we claim it as an ERP, everything will be. That means you will be creating a sales order in S4HANA, you will be creating purchase order in S4HANA, you will be creating inbound, outbound deliveries respectively in S4HANA, and you will also doing a mirror document posting in that S4HANA, where it will go and sit into your AC Doka table, which is an accounting entry table, that are going to be available in only in your S4HANA. That means we would not integrate anything outside the box. It will be a single box where you will be logging in and you will be doing all the activities. That is, we
You
call
mean
them
it is
as an
without a
embedded.
few apps, huh? Simple, you mean? Or?
No, 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 no. You will have a Fury apps. Sorry about that. That means, see, whatever the box we are having it, the portal version is in Fury app. But
Mm.
what I'm saying is it's an S4 HANA box, one single box. That's all. You
Mm.
will not
Okay.
integrate to any other box. Okay.
Okay.
And then this is a sidecar. When we say a sidecar, what it means is you will have an external system as ERP, ECC version, which will be having it, right? That we call them as a sidecar. Whereas the main box will be your TM, the sidecar would be an ECC. Where see, this is a jargon which they use a sidecar. It's nothing but two instances which will be running it. One, your ECC version, and then once you will have a TM version. These two will be connected to a either through an RFC or through an IDOC or through anything, PIPO, whatever the interfaces that we are going to build it. This will be built as a two different instances getting connected to it. So this is a we normally call it as a sidecar. All right, we will also talk about this more in detail. And then this is an LSP flow. What do you mean by an LSP? LSP stands for a logistics service provider. Okay, logistics service provider. These are all nothing but the companies who are serving for the customers. That means, like say, CMA, CCG, or any kind of a company which is working for the customers to transport their what do you call their materials, their containers, their requirements to the vendor, or depends on the customer's need. They call this an LSP. Only thing in the LSP is you will not have a sales order, you will not have a purchase order. These are the two things which we would not have it for creating the transportation requirements. That means you would not create a sales order, which is like using VA01, or you will not create a purchase order, which is using ME21N, and following with the deliveries that will be getting created. These integrations, order-based integrations, would not be there. Instead, you will be having a forwarding quotation, forwarding order, respectively. That is how it will work. So this will also is one of the scenario which we will be working together, so that tomorrow when you take when you get into the project, regardless of the project what you're going to work on, this will help you to address the solution, so that you can able to go and work on that particular project. This is again, how that embedded TM is getting. I think Krishna, this would be one of your key area, I believe. So this is where we are trying to replace the LETRA, and then we are bringing TM, because LETRA is nothing but basically LE is logistics execution transportation, where we will be predominantly will be using a kind of a routes, and then how the route maps are done. Basically we will give them an estimated information in which you can able to calculate a bit of a freight cost, but it will not be an actual cost. That means it will not be a real-time environment where we are going to calculate it, and it has a limited functionality which it can perform. So what happened is the TM has come up with a kind of a big blown functionality in which how the entire transportation management can be properly planned, and it can be taking a real time data, and it can give you the right planning at the right time, and in order for you to have the right delivery. So we will also try to touch base on that.
Okay.
Right. Perfect. And then these are the various deployment option. Of course, I want to the first day I will be covering all these things in detail for that 1.5 hours or 2 hours what we are going to do it. We will try to dive deep into it and see that what you mean by cloud, what is not being cloud, what is being instances, and so on. The reason is very simple. Tomorrow, when you are playing a role of an architect, or you're a junior architect, or you're going to assist someone to on the landscaping, or you need to know how this the instances are getting built and everything. So you need to have a background of what is going to happen, and what kind of an information is getting stored, so that in case if you are facing the client tomorrow, and you can able to go and talk to their architects, and then you can able to suggest your best options for it, and from there you can take it forward. So that's where we will be talking about all these 5 options. That will give you more of an insight of it. And of course, the one which I'm showing you currently, it is a earlier version. When I say earlier version, this is not an S4HANA version, but this is a kind of a the earlier I would call it as normally I call it as a before S4HANA and after S4HANA. So this is a before S4HANA, how this has been already mapped with an ERP sitting into it, how various connects we are having it, and these connects are going to help you how. So these are the things which we will be dive deep into it during our first session, because before I get into an S4 HANA, what I will be talking to you is what is that we had before. The reason why internally with our support from Naveen and everybody, we are doing this is for only one reason. There are many projects which are running in TM 9.5 or 9.3. Still they are running it, and they still continue to run on the similar environment. So tomorrow, all through the time, what happens if you get a support project? Unless if you get a support project and if you do not know this architecture, it will be very difficult for you to map it. So what normally we do is we'll give you a good introduction about how this TM 9.5 architecture works, so that tomorrow if you get a support project also, you can able to map it. Okay, this is how the architecture is being built, this is how the landscape is being built in without having an S4 HANA. So this is how it has to work, and from there you can take it forward. So there are a few how do I call it? There's a few tips and tricks which you need to bring it here, and then some of the things you have to go and look into SSXM only if it is being connected to your PI and so on. So you need to have that background of it, and you need to bring it to your suite. So we will talk about this more in detail. Maybe about 10-15 minutes we'll be speaking during that time. And this is again, normally, this is one of the big interview question, I would call it, as like, when someone comes in and then they'll ask you what you mean by a basic shipping and what you mean by an advanced transportation. So you need to tell them that, what it is all about. It's for your information slide, it is for your information slide to know more about what is the product is all about, what is been covered in basic shipping and what is being covered in your advanced transportation. You may ask a question, say, hey, Karthik, it seems to be very silly. Why did you put it here? It has a reason for it. The basic reason is, number one, tomorrow when you're working on a licensing, okay, now there may be customers whom they are approaching you would have a kind of a very basic need. At the time you need to suggest them what kind of licensing they need to go with it. Sometimes you may need to go to basic shipping, or you need to go for an advanced transportation. Or let me put the question a little differently. One of the architects who are sitting in the customer side may say that, without much knowledge of it, he may claim that, hey, no, all the basic shipping is enough. Why are you suggesting it? Then you may need to step in and you need to explain to them what is basic shipping and what is a professional or an advanced transportation it is required, and why it is required, how it is going to fit into their business. So even though the slide looks a bit different, it is not different, but it is a for your information slide, but it has its own benefit of understanding it, so that tomorrow with a bigger confidence you can speak to them. All right. Yes. Coming to the process step, of course, we are all coming from a scenarios. What we are going to do is we are going to integrate all these scenarios: creating sales order, delivery, plan freight, subcontracting, picking, print load instruction. Again, when you say print load instructions, we will show you how this load instructions has been getting displayed. We cannot simulate you in a printer. Then we can see how the freight's been loaded, how the documents can be, the transportation documents are. There are certain documents that is being provided by an SAP. We will tell you that how that is going to be done, and that is through your PPF actions. We will be also talking to you in that aspect. And then once you do the goods issue, what is going to have, and how you're going to have a truck departures, and then arrival at the customer, proof of delivery. Of course, this is pure option. And then billing document, post-freight settlement document, invoice verification. So here it looks like 10 or 12 steps, but in order to bring all these steps together, it's going to really make us to really work hard to bring all the scenarios. But nevertheless, we will try to simulate accordingly, and we will try to bring it. All through the time we were talking about an outbound delivery right now. So there is a also we'll try to do it through an inbound deliveries, because inbound delivery is also going to be the same, but at one point of time it will get merged, where at when the transportation requirements are getting into a transportation requirements, then it becomes a common area for us. So during that discussion we will talk more about that.
Okay.
Yeah. So then we will be going with a, we will be talking about an org structure where we will be using with a PPO, ME, and so on. So, nevertheless, we will be talking a lot on this particular aspect. Again, this is an guys, when you are coming from a rich background, so you know that this is an HR module that is being lended by the TM for us to maintain all these organizations. So when we dive deep into it, number one, this comes under the master data. Number one. Number two, these settings are the preliminary data which we need to maintain in order for other rest of the process to work. So this will carry a lot of weightage and value, because if you miss this, nothing will work. So probably we will be discussing more in detail. Of course, I'm talking about purchasing organization, sales organization, and planning and execution organization. Depends on the scenarios. One might be required, one might not be required. Probably we can debate during our sessions, and we can able to find out which we have to use, which we should get skipped. Of course, then we are coming to the, as I just told you, that organizational master data. Now we will be talking about the roles, because here what happened is, since the Fury has been introduced, they have brought in the rich UX experience, right? In order to bring the UX rich experiences, they brought in something called roles. So these roles are going to play a vital role, and I will tell you like how your BRF plus tables and everything need to be maintained and how it can be configured. And I will also give you the real-time example of how you need to do it, rather than going with a plain vanilla. Should not be a problem, but still we can debate on that. Again, we will be talking about transportation network, because the whole transportation module, the transportation management module, is primarily working on the locations, and then we will be talking about how to build a transportation network with various options which we are having it, and we will be going through one by one on this particular activity in detail. And then we will be getting into the order management. This is where we are going to spend a lot of in detail. We will be talking more in detail how this is going to be. How do I say that? A comprehensive approach of approaching the order management. If you look at it, the blue color seems to be very simpler, but there are a lot of arrows that are coming and going out. This is where you need to spend a lot of time, because a standalone application is a very easy way of working it. But when you look into the other aspects, it requires a lot of information how this need to be addressed. And we will also be talking about various modules, like if you look at it, Burger, Intra. We have a lot of other things which are coming into to integrate with it, so that the seamless integration happens. So we will be talking more about it. Collaboration portal, I would say this collaboration portal is just an information which you provided it. This collaboration portal is getting replaced or got replaced by an LBN. LBN is nothing but your logistics business network. We will dive deep into it, and we'll find out how we can address this.
This is without delivery document, right? Team order management, you mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Again, how we need to configure and everything. This is again, we are diving deep into the subject, and then we are going to talk about how we need to do it and so on. So this will help you more in detail. So I mean, predominantly what I will be doing is I'll be showing you in this PPT, but whatever the PPT we are seeing it, we will also be converting into a real time a screen share, and we will be telling you what need to be configured, what not to be configured, and this will be addressed to you accurately.
Yeah.
Of course, this is I don't think I need to bring it here. But if you look into it, output types, and these are the output types in SD. Similarly, what we are going to do it in our what you call in our TM, we do have kind of a PPF is for our output management, which I'll be comparing it so that you will have an easy understanding between your SD document and your TM document.
Yeah.
Great. And then, how the how deliveries are getting updated. This is a kind of a technique we are going to give you. Whenever there is a delivery getting updated, how it is going to be adopted by an SAP TM in a real environment. And we will tell you that, by having an update, how the TM is going to get reacted to that particular update and how it is going to be transformed to your transportation requirements dynamically. Basically, we are going to tell you that how effectively it is going to help you to adopt it so that you have a real-time environment. And of course, this is a over of freight units. We are going in more in detail about the freight units. This is nothing but your transportation requirements. We'll be talking about the one which is on the right hand side where it is talking about a lot of information here, right? So this itself will take about 30 minutes for you to understand. And this, you please mark it in your page saying that unless otherwise you becoming very confident on this and you're making this one correct, rest of the things will become all correct. If you make something is incorrect here, probably the following things will be incorrect. So we will be talking more about it, and then this is the fundamental stuff which we need to do it, and we will be spending a bit of a time on it. And then we will be talking about the process. That means what we are going to do it, by handling it. Why the freight unit is very, very important and how it is going to be, used in our transportation requirements and going forward, how we are going to use it and what are the various specifications we are going to have it. We will not take it in a boring environment. We will take it as a storyboard. Using the storyboard, we will try to break it so that you can able to visualize it, pictorial representation. Having the pictorial representation, this will give you a better idea for you to visualize it, and then based on the visualization, you can able to build it. And then then we will be talking about the planning, because what you do, you have an order management, then you are having your planning is like very simple. If I have a transportation, I normally used to tell this is my 10th batch, right? So normally what we do is like, in the batches, what I tell it, if you want to catch up your train, if you want to catch up your train, what you will do, you will first, you will make sure that you are already there. And then you will say that, if you want to, if you want to do the a particular planning, like say, for example, if you want to travel to a particular destination, you will do a planning. What you will do, I'll book a car, I'll go to the rail station, I'll go to my coupe, I'll sit there, and there is a lot of activities which you do it. Similarly, for any kind of transportation requirements in our industry, we also need to do the certain planning. So that is what we will be doing it with the various Fury apps. In that, this planning profile plays a very vital role, and along with this selection profile. So with these two combinations, we will try to do it, and then we will utilize the transportation cockpit for our transportation planning. So it will be very interesting. It will be very interesting. And then we will be saying that what are the various functionality for our transportation planning, how this manual, automatic, and then don't worry about it. I'll give you all the tips and tricks are here, and then how we need to do it. And then I will also tell you in a real-time environment what is the planning we are doing it, and then probably you can take it which is suiting your needs in your real-time project. And this is a big blown, a view of a transportation cockpit, how it is going to look into it. This is your freight unit stages. This is a truck. This is your freight order. This is your overview stages. Nevertheless, you will be seeing a lot going forward. But in order to come to this stage, we need to plan a lot. So we will keep planning a lot now. So continue to, we will continue to work on an incremental basis to come into this particular stage.
Okay.
Great. And then we will be talking a lot about how to create the freight orders, freight bookings, and then how to do the subcontracting. Would be a very, very interesting topic, and it has a lot and lots and lots of I would say loads and loads of what do you call the context and the concepts to go together, because what is going to happen is you're going to talk to a subcontracting where we'll be talking about schedules, we'll be talking about default routes, we'll be talking a lot of techniques which we are going to do it. And without saying it, we will also be talking about a bit of a tendering here as well. So we will be like an RFQ process, so some of them theoretically we'll be talking about, so you can capture them, and during your real-time environment later you can try it, something which we can put it across into the system, and then we can try to bring it onto the table. So we'll play on that as well. If you look at it, this is what exactly I was talking about. So how the management process, the carrier, and so on, we are going to work on it, and we'll define it wherever it is required. We will process that particular settings and how it is going to be defined. And then this is exactly our the freight settlement document. What is that means? Now, okay, now let's say that now I have a car, like say for example, I live in Chennai. Now when I'm living in Chennai, I want to move to Bangalore. Now what I'm going to do, when I'm asking a particular a particular whoever is trying to do the transporter, who has to transport all the materials from my home, and he has to carry to the Bangalore home. Now what he will do, first he will give me an estimate. That estimate will be converted into a kind of, after negotiation and everything, they will agree saying that, okay, for per pallet with the same size, or to have it very easy calculation, per kilo in my home, he is going to charge me 3 Indian rupees. Only 3 Indian rupees INR is going to charge me. Now what I will be doing, I'll be signing a document, right? Signing a document saying that, okay, if you have any, we will at the last we will calculate all the weight, and upon arriving to the total weight into 3 rupees. That is going to be the total cost which I need to do it, with some additional. What are they? The toll charges, then some kind of additional labor charges, and a waiting time, and so on. We have a list of charges which will be bringing it. So that information will all fit into this agreement, the calculation sheet, rate table, and scale. So what is going to happen is these information will be given here, that I said the total weight, right? The total weight will be in the freight order, and based on this agreement and whatever the values I agreed, and whatever I have it in the freight order as a transaction value, that times that 3 rupees will be converted into my total charges. And the total after calculating the total charges, there is one document that need to be created, that is called a freight settlement document, or an FSD. That will be a kind of a producer document for my invoicing. So the whole things which I just spoke to you in terms of carriers will happen under the process called charges and settlement, because that is the one which is going to help me to create the charges, what I am supposed to pay to the carrier. When I say I can be a manufacturer. That is number one. I can be a shipper. That is number two. Or I can be an LSP also. When I be an LSP also, what I'm going to do, as an LSP, I can also take services from ocean services, I can take air services, I can take rail services, I can take road services also, I can take. So now what happens? Once I know that what is the charge I need to pay him, and once the particular carrier who is going to give me the invoice, I will try to match them. I'll try to match them between these two documents. And with the use of a freight settlement document, as I told you, the output of this freight settlement, or I would not say output of it, the freight settlement document, a successor document. So the successor document would be your service entry sheet and service PO. Service PO. Using the service PO, I can place my mirror document. So if you look at it, all your charges and settlement is the main component in the whole project. It will be the whole, because this is the one which is going to talk about your procurement. This is going to talk about your finance. This is going to talk about your invoicing. It will talk about a lot which will be very, very keenly watched by all the module or all the members of the company. So this has a more weightage. I will say that this has about 60%, 70% of the percentage of the weightage goes here. Remaining is all straightforward. And between you and me, majority of the workload is on the charges and settlement only. These are all
Do we
can be
have
automated. Mm.
do we have pricing procedure here also, or is it always
No,
manually?
no, no pricing procedure. No pricing procedure. Calculation sheet and the rate table and the scales replaces your pricing procedure.
Okay.
Very straightforward.
Okay.
So that's where the whole charges and settlement comes into it, and it creates an accounting document using your Miro.
So, but how
Now
this will
after
be
that,
going to the sales order as a statistical? Does it go in general this value
no,
normally?
it will never go as a statistical thing. But what it will give is it will give you a reference to your freight order and freight settlement document. From there, you can go to the document flow from there. But it will never tell
Okay.
you anything.
Okay.
Hmm. And now what we have, as I told you, starts calculation, right? We will be talking a lot and lot, tons and tons of information we will be speaking on this particular context. How this SD and then, MB, MM. What is that is when you working for a customer, okay? Whenever you're working for a customer and you're serving for a customer for LSP, normally what we will do is we'll have a billing integration for creating a kind of a sales document, right? Because we need to have a billing information. The other side of it, if you come into the side, vendor side, we need to have a purchase order. So that is the only thing. But if you look at it, because that is how an SAP architecture works, right? So we will be working in the same context. So TM has already interfaced to the existing architecture, number one, and also it is trying to utilize the current functionality so that it can both merge together and form you a complete full-blown application. Now coming to sorry. So we will be talking about how this financial process for settlement. This is just but an information, but we will be working on this. We will be working on this particular topic like mapping organization. These are all important activity which we'll be doing it, even though this is part of an but we will be I will be giving you a complete information of how this need to be determined, because you at the end you need to post this this invoice verification exactly. So we will be talking about. Next, we will be going here to the collaboration, but this is pure theory, because we cannot able to do the collaboration portal integration. But I'll give you how this should happen. How this should happen, we can talk about as a theory session, but we will make it very interactive so that you will never get bored. And then we will be talking about what is an event management. There is one tab called output management. We have something called output. In that also we can talk about, and then we will see that how this reporting activity can happen. I'll give my experience here, which you can capitalize it. All right.
Okay.
And then we're using an EM. What are the various events we can do it, and then probably you can try to visualize it. Say tomorrow when you talk about an EM team, you can able to capitalize them. This is a execution view where I said the execution tab we can able to bring it. We will go a bit in deep, but not to an extent where we will be talking about an event management to a massive thing. But when you have an event management, I will be explaining you what would be the impact you can able to see it on the execution tab here. That is how I can explain it. And this is this is a kind of a UI which we want to give it to you, because this has been built by somebody else, but we want to give you an explanation of how it can happen. Of course, and as I told you, how this output management, we will talk about it using our PPA functions. And then the tendering, which we said, we will give you an overview of how the tendering works, and we will tell you how the carrier selection and everything is done. In the carrier selection, I will tell you how the tendering profile is going to work on it. Okay. This is how the tendering, but nevertheless, it will be too confusing if I start explaining it. But tendering, we will try to cover the process.
But I think tendering, we can do it manually and then you can explain. But I mean,
Exactly.
generally, yeah.
Absolutely. That is correct. And then this is what I was talking about, a PPF strategy, which we will be talking a bit technical, but we'll not go more technical. But at least I want you to expose yourself to your a bit of a strategies what are available, so that tomorrow if you want to speak to someone, you can able to speak. And then this is a good, I mean, a dangerous goods integration. You don't need to worry about it. There is only one checkbox which we need to do it. I'll just tell you how that need to work, and it is not complicated. It is very straightforward.
That is in the material, huh? I mean.
Correct, exactly. because when you do a DG01, right, automatically that classification everything comes in, and if you maintain that DG01 profile, right, that profile you extend it to your TM, automatically it put a block there. And this is on LSP scenario, as I told you, LSP scenario.
What is LSP? Oh, I forgot. What is the LSP?
Logistics service provider. Logistics service provider.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah. So you are not a shipper, you are not a manufacturer, but you are working for a customer, right? You are working for a customer, and you are serving for your customer. So you intend to serve for your customer. So at the time, how this needs to work, do not worry. We will take this as also out of 35 hours which we are planning it. Probably we can cover about 10 hours for LSP. Remaining we can spend for the other areas, so that because of the first step of bringing the orders is different. After that, it is all the same. Okay, so I think we can cover in 10 hours. Should not be a problem.
Okay, so how the sessions will go? You explain us, and then you'll make us do some few examples, or how does it go?
No, what I will be doing is I'll be walking through you on first thing is I will be configuring it in the system. I'll be configuring in the system for you wherever the configuration is required. I'll be configuring it specific to the batch of 10. Now, what you can do is you will simulate an example of yours by copying that, or you can copy, or you can look into that example and recreate it with a different example. So that both the ways you have. One, you have my reference. Two, you're doing it by yourself. The reason why I ask people to copy or to just refer it for only one thing, if you tamper my configuration, there may be a high possibility that my scenario might not work. So I suggest our team, whoever the team is joining, I suggest them not to tamper my configuration, rather just do a copy.
Okay, so on weekends, how many hours we're gonna do these sessions? I mean, in general, how
yeah, I'm planning for having about depends on it. If you have 2 hours with 10 minutes or 15 minutes of a break.
No, on the weekends.
10 minutes of a
weekends
break,
means which days is it exactly?
Saturday and Sunday we can keep it.
2 hours, huh?
I'll confirm you the time, since currently I'm in Chennai, but I live in Denmark, so we can plan the timing.
Where do you live now?
Currently I'm in Chennai, but I live in Denmark. So.
Okay, now I'm in Berlin.
Oh, you're in Berlin. That's nice.
Yeah. So maybe what do you say if we can have sessions sometime on Friday and Sunday, or I think I don't know if he's fine with other things.
The problem what is going to happen is my working days are Monday to Friday.
Me too, same now.
Okay. Because see, the problem is I don't want to rush the sessions. So the peaceful way, if one person is calling me on a weekday, and that would become difficult, right? So
no, weekdays.
Fridays on the evening. I mean, yeah.
Evening. Okay. We'll try to plan. Should not be a problem. We'll try to plan.
No, weekdays. I don't think so. Yeah, evenings okay, but again there would be
Friday evening 2 hours for this session, and on Sunday also, because so that we can have some space on the weekends, at least one day to go outside without any secondary thought.
Yeah, we can that logistics we can discuss with Naveen, and then mutually we can bring it together. All right.
Yeah.
Should not be a problem. No hard and fast rules on it.
No problem. Yeah.
So, reserve your questions. I know that this is just a demo, and I would not even call it as a demo. It is just a kind of a quick walkthrough. I would call it as a quick walkthrough session. So, kindly have this for your reference, and probably we can take it forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Karthik. So I just want to know about this mainly integration part.
Hmm.
So in S4 HANA, so
Hmm.
everything is the same, right? So in the same system. It's not like
Yes.
yeah. Now we have a standalone systems for GTS, APO, transport management, and ECC. So
Hmm.
different systems. So and again, we connect through RFCs.
Hmm.
In
Hmm. Hmm.
S4 HANA,
Hmm.
how it is going to be? Still we need to have these RFCs. Do we
No.
have a different approach?
No, actually, what happened is in see the architecture of the earlier way of connecting is through an RFC, right? But that is how they call it as a RFC connection is being behind the scenes. Now, what they brought in is in S4 HANA, they also brought in the same kind of environment, but they call it as a BG RFC. So at the background, that RFC is being connected without the user intervention. Earlier, that user intervention was there. Now the user intervention is not there and brought it as a single box. So you don't need to, you won't feel that it is connecting through an RFC anymore, but it is being divided by the schema. Whereas
So,
all this, if you look at it, SCM is the one which is for EWM, and then for our TM, it is SCM TMS is the schema where all the respective tables are stored.
I have a more question. If we are using TM, which means we have to use GTS, huh? I think so. Other,
No, no, not
No,
necessary.
no,
Not necessary.
it's not
it's
Not
like
like that.
necessary. Because
which means
TM, see that's what TM, EM, TM, EM. Normally, EM we take it as a separate box. TM, GTS can be on the same box or it can be a different box. So normally, what they will try to do is any kind of auxiliary environment which you want to do it, they'll try to keep it in a separate instance, not bringing to an S4 HANA.
okay.
A DG also most probably it will be separated.
Yeah, DG, it's a different module, yeah, completely.
Correct, correct. That will also be separated in case if it is required.
What is
Yeah.
DG?
The
Dangerous
dangerous
goods
goods.
management.
Normally we call them as EHS.
EHS, yeah, environmental health
Yeah,
and science.
correct.